exactly in my face. God damn it.
Hey guys, my name is Tim. I'm the Master Mechanic at Zeiten BMW Mobile Services, and today I have the unusual car for the channel. This is a 2014 Porsche Cayman S 981 body type. So it's all the same 2014, 15, and 16, and early 2013 as far as I understand. So what are we going to be doing here is servicing the transmission, so replacing the whole oil pan and flushing the fluid. Not flushing really, but doing pretty much the same service as we do on BMWs without, let's say, mechatronic seals. It's a ZF, should be ZF transmission in here. Also, this is a PDK, so it's a Porsche double clutch transmission. But the service procedure is pretty much the same. I'm gonna find out as I go. Why I'm doing that? Well, the car is approaches 60,000 miles, and I also need to do that before the track use because, well, you know, the excessive wear and tear on the track. I'd rather be safe than sorry. So let's get to it, see how it's done, see if it's easier on BMW or the Porsche. I'll compare as always because I mainly fix BMWs and pretty much nothing else. This is my personal car, that's why we're doing that. So let's get to it. In order to gain access to transmission, we need to remove this reinforcement plate, and it's pretty straightforward from what I can see right now. Basically we have those 16mm nuts right here. We gotta remove pretty much all of those. Those reinforcement bars are not coming off because it has one more bolt right there that is covered by the jack, basically. So, but I do believe that we'll be able to slide it out just by unbolting all of those and just sliding this plate out with the unbolting other 16mm bolts and nuts. So I'll get to it and we'll go from there. Alright, so all the bolts and nuts are out. I really don't want to lower the car to... So those bars are movable, although there's a lot of dust in there. So, and you can see, I'm able to slide it out. Before we start draining the transmission fluid, just loosen the fill-up plug, which is on the driver's side of the transmission. This is a left-hand car in the US as normal, so it's right here. It's a 8mm Allen, so I have a socket and a wrench right here. Loosen it first. No need to take it fully out. Just loosen it. It's a precaution. You can do it later, but usually it's a good thing to do. Now the fill-up plug is loose. All we have left is Torx 30 bolts all around the oil pan and Torx 30 drain plug. So I'll drain the transmission fluid and go from there. Transmission fluid looks honestly not bad at all. It's pretty good. Well, not the best, but it's pretty good. I like it. I like the color of it. For this job I got the transmission kit. It's Dawson fluid, and I understand a rain oil pan. Not the ZF. We didn't have ZF in stock, so I do need this car pretty soon on track. Didn't have time to get it. Rain is great. I used those products before. No issues there. Regarding the fluid, well, let's open it up, see what's inside. So, as you know, this is the ZF transmission. So what we got is 6 liters of pentosan fluid. There's other alternatives, like I like to use the Bilstein on BMWs. There is Bilstein for this car as well. So for instance, the wholesale price of this pentosan fluid for me is $30, and the Bilstein is 12. The Liquimol is about 12 or 14, something like that. So there's this one is double the price. It's supposed to be the OEM. So this is what has been transmission filled up from the factory. We got 6 liters, the full capacity. This drain and refill procedure requires 5.5 quarts of fluid, pretty much. That's usually what it takes. The BMWs do take about 6. The full capacity of transmission though on BMWs is about 10 quarts. Here, I don't know exactly, but I would assume it's less since the transmission is kind of smaller and it's kind of tighter in there. So what else we got? We got the new bolts, of course, and we have the oil pan. So here's the oil pan. It's a plastic oil pan. You will be familiar with that, like BMWs have the same plastic oil pans, but the different shape, of course. So it has a built-in filter, and let's open it up. So there is, gotta lubricate this O-ring, a built-in filter and the built-in gasket. So everything is in here. We're gonna be using the we use the fresh bolts. I don't really think it's necessary, but since they're here, a few magnets here and there. I understand those are magnets here, so we'll inspect those on this oil pan when we take it off. There's also, so it comes with the drain plug already, and it's already tight. You don't need to do anything with it. There are other options for this oil pan. I've seen, like this oil pan probably will run you about $350, $500 just for the pan, and then the fluid depends on what you want to do. I would go with the Liquimoli, honestly. Kind of don't feel it for Bilstein. For the Porsche, they might not be friends. So I like the original pan is just fine with me. Like every time you do this job, it's required once in 60,000 miles. Well, depends on the use, of course. If you track the car, do it more often. I would say once in 30,000, depending on the track activity usually. So if it's once a month, like yeah, you can easily go for 30,000 miles. But it's up to you. The other oil pans for this car, it's a full metal one. I don't remember the manufacturer, but I've seen it. It's $1,000 plus. I don't see any benefit of it except the maybe better heat exchange, since it's most likely the aluminum with something else in there and it gives the heat easier. It also, with the metal oil pan, you can replace just the filter, let's say, and this O-ring right here. So you can buy those separately. With this one you cannot. So it's up to you. Honestly, I'd rather use those. Like, people usually don't keep cars, and I'm no exception. I'm not gonna keep it more than 2 years, 3 years, like less than that most likely. So that just fine, and that keeps the original look. So the fluid is almost gone. Now we can take it off and proceed. So all the fluid is pretty much gone. It's been dropped. So I put the drain plug on. Now we're gonna remove the bolts. It's a Turks 30 from the transmission oil pan. Honestly, you can reuse those. Like, there is no need to replace them at all. There's a knot, as far as I understand, aluminum bolts is fine.
as yeah, definitely I think it's no big deal to reuse them. There's little to no torque to them, so they do not stretch. Everything's fine. If you bought the oil pan without the bolts, no big deal. Although, if you think differently, please comment down below. I'll see the Porsche fans right away. Alright, almost all of them. Yep, doesn't sit. Okay. Now, so all of them are loose. Just got the 3 bolts left. Now is the fun part. Usually the oil pan is getting not stuck in there, but it's held by the part with the seal. I don't know how you call it, but you know what I'm saying. So now that's the last bolt. No need to use any screwdrivers or anything like that to take it off. I think this should be fine. Might get messy, get ready for it. So, slightly moving. So it sits on its own, you see no bolts. But we don't need to use any excessive force to remove it. Pretty much, I just want to avoid the splash of transmission fluid because there's going to be plenty still in there, still in the oil pan. I really don't like transmission fluid in my face. I've had it enough. Come on. Exactly in my face. God damn it. What can I say of the condition of this transmission by what I see in here? This is the original one. It's never been replaced. We have the date right here. The date of assembly is 2012. Interesting. Well, very much can be. Regarding the fluid is pretty good. The filter is not that bad. Everything's kind of all right in here. The metal. So the magnets are not extensively covered in the metal shavings, like pretty much little to none. It's almost nothing in here, just very little of metal shavings in here, which is normal. All the transmissions wear out. The metal shavings are part of the normal operation. This one is strong, and since it's now been replaced, I'd say this is almost nothing. Let's see. Can try to pull some fluid in here. See the color more vividly. Yep, it's not that great, but it's a consistent color. Normal transmission oil wear, so we'll keep it in place. Meanwhile, lubricate this O-ring. That's all it needs. And since, well, everything is draining still over there, but now we're gonna clean up all the surrounding areas to the transmission oil pan, basically on the housing, and install the new pan. What do we see inside the ZF transmission? Pretty much the same as BMW. You see those solenoids? That's very, well, I'd say the same solenoids as the ZF transmission uses in BMW. ZF 6HP19, 21, 26, 28. Those are all the same. The structure is kind of, it's I would say it's familiar. Like, I know what bolts to take off from here to remove the valve body itself, like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, Torx 40, like all of them. The other ones are different, so that's nice. That's kind of nice. So the area around the transmission is clean. I don't need to excessively clean up so it's spotless. Doesn't make sense. I'll get duty anyways. So now we're gonna be installing the new fan. Of course, start with the seal that ruined me. There we go. Now we can move it out of the way. Just make sure it's all the way in. When it's all the way in, the transmission pan is not wobbling anymore at all. Now we have, what I usually do is install a couple of bolts so it doesn't go anywhere, and then install all of them. Since it's a plastic pan, we do need to make sure all the bolts go in nicely, and only after that we're going to be tightening them. All the bolts are in. Now I'm just gonna even them out, and then I'm gonna tighten them. Hand tight. Well, I mean, using my hands, not the power tool. So I try to keep the crisscross pattern, but it's not absolutely necessary. Use common sense regarding the torque. That's the first. Remember, those bolts require not much torque at all. Alright, that's it. I'm just gonna go around, make sure everything's tight. And once again, a very low torque bolt. Not like on the BMW ZF transmission. I know for a fact the bolts are higher torque bolts than those right here. 100%. And there's not much torque on the BMW transmission bolts either. So this one even lower. Good. Let's fill it up. Regarding the refill procedure, it's pretty straightforward. We're doing pretty much all the same things as I would do with the BMW. So we fill it up first until it starts dripping from the fill-up plug. I would say it's most likely gonna take about 3 quarts till it starts dripping. The car is cold, so the temperature outside is about 75 degrees, 74 maybe, something like that. Then when it starts dripping, I say that, so that means 75 degrees the temperature of the fluid that is still left in the transmission. It's not completely drained, don't even think about that it is. So we start filling it up, it starts dripping, then we start the car. Let it run. If you can't measure the temperature, if you don't have the scanner, basically what you gotta do is the oil temperature is very similar to the temperature of the transmission. They usually are the same. So you can look at the measurement of the oil temperature and just go from there. The fill up temperature is between 30 and 50 degrees Celsius. In Fahrenheit, well, Google it, how much is it in Fahrenheit. So let's fill it up little by little. I use the regular hand pump right here, and it's plenty of room to route it properly. That I like better than BMW. There's not much there. It doesn't interfere with exhaust. So yeah, this is definitely simpler. First one to go. By the location of the fill-up plug, I might say it might take even more than 3/4 to start dripping. That's the first one, but we'll see. So usually varies from BMW to BMW as well. Same models. Some take more, some take less. Every transmission job is a messy job. Let's go to another one. Okay, so 3 are in, and I think it's gonna start dripping in just a moment. There we go, 3.5. That's what it took. Now it's time to start the car. So the transmission is full. It took almost 5 quarts, less a bit than standardized, but once again, it differs from transmission to transmission, how much you drain, how much you let it sit, all of that. So don't forget to tighten the fill-up plug and clean up the area around it because it drains right around here. So now we, what's left is, as you can see, those are movable. Putting the plate back in and just driving, see what happens, see what's up. It was driving fine, so I don't expect any like significant improvements, like just maybe smoother shifts. Overall, if you wanna check the transmission fluid level after a while, do it when the car is cold, of course, completely cold. That's why we don't start the car when we're doing the transmission service, you only start it after. And the way you measure it, you don't. You just open the fill-up plug. If it starts dripping from there when the car is cold, like, yeah, you fool. If not, you might add some, but that's pretty much it.
So there you have it, guys. That's how you do the transmission service on 981 Cayman. Boxster, the same. This is the S version, 3.4 liter engine, PDK double clutch transmission. To be honest, I find it kind of simpler here than on BMW. So I kind of liked it. I don't like the fluid in my face, but that happens. That happens, guys. I hope you liked it and this video was helpful. Like, subscribe, share. Sharing is caring. So do all those things and it really helps me and the channel to grow. So we dilute the content with this car a little bit and stay tuned. See you in the next one and don't break your cars.